5 seconds. India won political freedom in 1947. That has been an easier task than the one of administering the country in a clean way. This seems to be a more difficult task. For that, we require leadership and honest and efficient civil service. We need a disciplined military and police force. We must have individual industrial managers and skilled workers and good peasants. Our ordinary citizens should have civic sense and national feeling. All these things cannot be had in a day. What we are attempting to do is to take some steps to build a sound administration and a stable government. We cannot say that we are satisfied with what we have done. There are things happening in different parts of our country which make us feel sad and depressed. What is necessary is a strong sense of patriotism. It is true that we had a negative kind of patriotism when we fought to get rid of the foreign rule, but a positive patriotism, a sense of belonging to this great country, and a feeling of yet to come. We have to build these, the minds and hearts of men. We must have an awareness of the great traditions for which this country has stood for centuries in spite of setbacks. It is our desire to have a democratic society in our country. Democracy has different sides to it. It is a political system, it is an economic approach, and it is an ethical way of life. As far as the political aspect is concerned, we have adult suffrage. Any person who is of a particular age, whatever may be his qualifications, position, or property, has a vote. We thus affirm the equality of all human beings. This principle is a part of our tradition, and though we proclaim our allegiance to it, we did not practice it in our daily life, and that is the reason why we were subjected to invasions and suffered bondage in the past. Today, political democracy cuts across the differences of class, caste, race, and religion. Whatever these differences may be, they have nothing to do with the dignity of man as man. We should respect the individual for his human nature and for his possibilities. It follows that we should enable all people to live a full and free life. We must try to bring up the hidden treasure in each person without breaking any of it. For this, certain minimum cultural and economic conditions must exist. That is why we have universal education laid down in our constitution. We often talk of a socialist society. This does not mean the regimentation of the individual. It does not mean making the abilities of all men equal. It is impossible. All men are not equal. Socialism means only giving equal opportunities to all people for the expression of whatever possibilities they have. When we say that it is necessary for us to feed, clothe, and shelter all people, we are stressing what may be called the economic aspect of the democratic ideal. We wish to reduce the gaps between wealth and poverty and to raise the living standards of the common man. So long as there are people in our country who do not get a square meal a day and who sometimes do not have a roof over their heads and who sleep on the pavements of our cities, it is a shame to us. No man who feels for his country can be happy when he looks at this enormous misery. These are a challenge to us all. We must fight them out that we may be a civilized nation. For this purpose, we must increase our national wealth, our agricultural output, and our industrial production. The 5-year plans are intended to achieve these objectives. Our rural areas have been largely neglected, and They have to be developed. The community development projects aim at this rural uplift, but we have not been able to rouse the enthusiasm of the masses. The administrative machinery is rather slow, and the people must be made partners in these projects more effectively. I will not turn to the ethical aspect. It is a faith. It asks us to settle our problems peacefully by discussion and consent. Have we understood the principle that freedom means restraint? Whenever we have a quarrel, we go to direct action. We are full of anger and we have violence. By the ethical approach, we mean that every person has an element of reason and it is possible for us to appeal to it. We must remember that we may not be always right and our opponents may sometimes be right. It is our duty to understand and come to a reasonable settlement with them. It is indeed a great misfortune that for the so called big powers, the loss of face causes more concern than the destruction of human values. There are many people who stand on prestige when the life of humanity itself is at stake. Measures Lanka Coffee Company, Coorg. Dear sirs, we thank you for your letter of the second instant saying that you had booked a consignment of 5 cases of packed coffee. We wish to bring to your notice that only 4 cases have been received at this end. We may also mention that these cases have been received in a damaged condition because the packing material used is not strong enough. You are well aware that most of our supply is to upcountry customers, and we may therefore request you to pack the goods in special wooden cases in order that they may stand rough handling in transit. We also request you to make necessary inquiries and let us know what happened to the missing case. You will be glad to know that we have disposed of a large quantity of coffee you have sent within a few days because it is in great demand here. We are enclosing the statement of account and the amount we have deposited with your bankers here. As there is not much stock left, we request you to send us further consignment as listed in the enclosed order. We understand that the crop of coffee this time has been short and we are anxious to stock extra quantity to safeguard against deficiency in the lean season. In this connection, we may mention that a gentleman of our town is doing brisk business and we hope to place a substantial order next time. We would like to say a word about publicity. You say it is extensive, but it has had no effect in certain parts of this region. Our representative has made an intensive tour of the entire area, and his report says that in certain areas people are illiterate, and so posters and written literature have no appeal for them. So we suggest you engage a singing party to go round. It may prove less expensive in the long run. You can easily secure the services of local singers. As the year coming to a close May, we expect calendars and diaries for the new year. If you are printing any, yours faithfully.